We all want to put the Christ back in Christmas. But what about putting the spirit back into the spirit of Christmas? Well, from the people who brought you A Recipe for Seduction, a romance about Colonel Sanders, the chicken guy, comes the spirit of Christmas. Yes?
Hey Adam, how are you?
I am doing holy great. What about you?
Ho ho holy great.
Yeah.
Cool.
You haven't heard that phrase before?
No, I have never heard it.
Oh.
But if you're looking for a new Christmas phrase to just add into your Christmas vocabulary.
Whoa. You can't let people already trump my flavor, Jess. That's my TM trademarked catchphrase. Anyway, yeah.
But what is a catchphrase if not a phrase that other people can catch on to?
No, I don't think that's it. Could you imagine what a chaotic world we would live in if other people said holy chalupas other than the kid from Fuller House? I don't want to live in such a world.
And I do. But to answer your question, I'm doing great. We have a very fuzzy blanket. We're recording this before 2 p.m. unlike we normally do at like 10 p.m. and I'm tired. So I am living. There's still snow on the ground. We still got some winter cheers, hazy wheat ale.
Also, we received this fuzzy blanket from Target. I don't say that because they're sponsoring us. I say that because it's a mystery who got us this blanket. Mm-hmm. They have yet to reveal themselves. It was on our wedding registry. So if you're the person who bought this blanket, thank you. If you're not the person who bought this blanket and you still want credit for it, I guess first come, first serve. So, yeah, if you want a custom-made thank you note from me and or Jess, let us know if you gave us the fuzzy blanket.
Because it's honestly one of our favorite gifts.
Yeah.
Big fans of the fuzzy blanket.
Mm-hmm. I tried cuddling up under the wok. It did not work. It was cold. So, yeah, what movie did we watch today, Jess?
From the intro, you can see that we watched The Spirit of Christmas.
Ooh.
And I don't feel like we've taken the time in the other ones to really dissect the name. But I would just like to take a moment to do that. I pulled up here the definitions of the word spirit. So what do you think? When you think of spirit, Adam, what do you think of?
I mean, there are a lot of meanings to the word. If we're going to stick to the movies version of spirit, then I would probably say kind of a ghost, but not a ghost. Because a ghost, I would say, is someone who died and then was haunting around. Whereas a spirit, they're just kind of a supernatural being. So like the spirit of Christmas past, present, and future. Like, they weren't people who died. They were just ghosts vibing out. I mean, spirits vibing out.
I just thought of a third meaning of this movie.
What?
Okay, so there's the spirit of Christmas, like, as in the, like, good cheer of Christmas. Mm-hmm. Then there's the spirit of Christmas, which is our third definition if you Google spirit, the non-physical part of a person manifested as an apparition after their death, a ghost.
Oh.
And then, at one point, he's a bartender?
Mm-hmm.
Spirits.
Oh. That makes sense.
Meaning on meaning, folks. And I know what you're thinking. Wow, guys, I thought you reviewed bad Christmas movies. This sounds great. Well, it wasn't as bad as I remembered it was. But it wasn't great.
No. So you watched it before with your mom, right?
Yeah, my mom and I, another big fan of the, and I'm saying this of me and not of Adam, the bad rom-com type situation. Watched a lot of Christmas rom-coms. So we watched this one last year and we were both just like, what even was that? It didn't really make sense. So when Adam was looking for another movie to watch and he talked about maybe doing another rom-com, I was like, do I have one for you? And buckle in here because If you listen to Princess Switch 2, Switched Again, there was a lot of names, a lot of confusing situations, so get ready, because this one involves ghosts and flashbacks and unexplained things.
Apparitions. Okay, I am gonna get us on the right track, and I'm just gonna name all of the characters real quick.
Good idea.
So you have Kate. She's a girl and a lawyer.
She's so this is a Lifetime movie, not a Hallmark movie. So you're gonna see some of the differences there, but she's the classic, like, in Hallmark movies, there's the person who's just about Christmas and looking for love, and then there's the person who's this big shot business or lawyer in the big city and doesn't give a care about Christmas. That's gonna be Kate of this movie.
Yeah. A city lawyer who she's too busy for love, too busy for life, and not too busy for work.
But too busy for Christmas.
Yeah. And then Oliver is her boss. He's a lawyer. He doesn't appear much, but he wants to go to the Bahamas. We can all dream. Daniel is the titular spirit of Christmas.
Spoiler alert.
He's the ghost. And then...
but is he a ghost? That we'll discuss later.
Yeah. Rafferty is an older man who runs the inn. Molly is Rafferty's love interest who owns a different hotel.
Because what is a Christmas rom-com without some, like, especially like a pretty poorly made Christmas rom-com, without some side characters also falling in love?
And then there's a police chief who is the brother of Molly. And then there are some old-timey names. There's, not old-timey names, old-timey people. So there's Harry, who is Daniel's cousin. Charles, who is Daniel's brother. And Lily, who is Daniel's lover.
And fiance.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so now that we have those names out of the way, hopefully that helps. Hopefully you wrote all those down so that as we're talking, you can refer back to those. Or, as Adam often does during these movies, just pull up the IMDb page and just have that as a constant reference. So, the movie starts with a man walking through the woods, and he checks his pocket watch, and he's looking at this house, and there's this, like, old-timey party. And he says, Lily! And then, but he's, like, really far away, so she can't hear. And then this other man says, Lily! And gets hugged by this other man. Then an OG man closes his pocket watch still in the snow by the woods and gets shot while the 12 Days of Christmas is playing in the background.
He doesn't get shot.
Well, we don't know what happens. To me, I'm writing as me in this moment. And to me, I wrote that he got shot because that's what it sounded like to me. Time will tell if that's actually what happened. Keeping the mystery alive, and that's how the movie begins.
Hang on. Right now, listeners, what I want you to do is I want you to write down your answer for who you think killed Daniel. So write it down, seal it in an envelope, send it to Jess at Lancaster Road in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, 74298. And then, at the end of the show, we'll open all of the letters and read them to see which boy or girl got the answer right.
Also, this is the most absurd time to say it because truly we didn't even know this was that character at this point in the movie, but...
Well, I mean, I did. Once again, the guy who dies is the ghost.
Yeah. I like to keep the mystery alive. Then we flash forward to the present day where a girl, Kate, is on a date. And the guy is saying basically whoever gets you is lucky, but I'm not that bro, boo-boo. And she responds, oh, thank God, because she's a big-time lawyer. And then she goes through all of her ex-boyfriends and what they had a problem with her about. And he's like, I never told you that. And she's like, yeah, all these other people told me all the problems with me. And then she tries to eat his food.
And succeeds. Also, at this point, I'd like to point out a trope that bothers me in almost every movie where it appears. The, are you breaking up with me? line. Like, I've never been in a breakup. I might at some point. I doubt it. But,
I hope not.
But is that a real thing that people say? Do people really say, are you breaking up with me? And if so, if that's ever happened to you or if you've ever said that, Reopen those letters you wrote down. Write down, yes, that has happened to me, or no, that has not happened to me. Parentheses, I'm referring to the are you breaking up with me quote and not being killed like Daniel. End parentheses. And then run out to your mailbox and send it our way. I won't repeat the address again. Y'all should know it.
Yeah, so Adam wants to know. He will not rest until he finds out if that's something that actually happens to people. I feel like it probably is, but I don't know. Then we flash to a law office.
A law office.
Yep. Don't worry, she never has Christmas plans, so she's going to work real hard. And what she has to do is sell this hotel/inn. But they've had to try and get people appraising the inn, but it's haunted. And so the appraisers just keep running away. And so she needs to go and quote-unquote hold the appraiser's hand so that they can appraise it. And then they sell it. And I don't know a lot about law, but it seems like they're lawyers for dead people. For, like, trusts.
Estate law.
Lawyers for dead people.
The
Bar Association, are you listening? Because I have some ideas for you.
My client, Beetlejuice.
Then we flash forward to the inn, and as she arrives there, a man gets into his car and drives away. It's obviously the appraiser, another scared appraiser, but she's not afraid. She's not afraid of anything.
I ain't scared of no ghosts.
And she walks in, and the inn's about to close for Christmas. Why is it supposed to close on the 13th of December for Christmas?
Well, she runs into the innkeeper, Rafferty, and he's like, it's just tradition. We always close on the 13th until Christmas.
And then he's like, tradition! Tradition!
Tradition.
And she sees this picture that honestly, okay, so there's a lot of things in this movie that I'm like, ugh. But this one really bothered me. So there's like a picture of him, and it's like they took the picture on their iPhone, and then they used the like Instagram, like old timey filter, and that's the picture that's on the wall of this guy, Daniel Jacob Forsyth, who is, supposedly this ghost. Also, this picture's, like, everywhere, and people all seem to know about him, but then when they see him, they, like, don't recognize him. Mm-hmm. So that part doesn't really make sense to me.
Also, all hotel owners out there, don't put headlines about people who have been murdered around your hotel as decorations. It's not a great vibe.
To each his own. And the guy, Rafferty's like, yeah, I'm about to leave in an hour, but you can stay here if you want, but you will be alone. Which, to me, I'm like, missed opportunities. Like, you won't be alone, you know, because of the ghost. She watches the dude. She, like, goes upstairs, and there's a scene where she's watching him, like, leave. And it looks like, you know, in those movies where, like, either they break up or, like, they just won the estate or whatever. And she's just, like, standing up there looking out the window. Like, she's about to murder this dude. Spoiler alert, she doesn't.
On camera.
She goes to sleep, but at midnight, the door opens, and you see a man disabling the alarm that she had sent. She very geniusly grabs a nail file. And I don't know, I'm guessing most people here know what a nail file is, but if you don't, please Google it so that you can picture what this woman was holding as she was going to go fight whoever had come into the house.
I assume it's an envelope full of nails.
Yeah. She goes downstairs. She's like, you're trespassing. And he's like, you're trespassing. And she, like, hits this bookcase, and then a vase falls and hits her in the head. And she falls down, goes unconscious, wakes up on a couch with a quilt over her, and is hearing someone play Christmas music on the piano.
Yeah.
And this is where I like to call, now we have a trespasser show off. So her and this guy are like, you're trespassing. No, you're trespassing. And he picks her up. So at this point, I think you're like, he's a ghost, right? But put aside everything you think about a ghost, because he picks her up, puts her over his shoulder, and locks her out of the house with a quilt while she calls the cops.
Wait a second, Jess. This ghost can touch things and pick people up?
Yep.
It's not, you can't just, like, stick your hand through it.
Not in this movie.
It seems like this ain't your daddy's ghost.
Mm-hmm. For sure. The policeman comes, the sheriff, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And can I just say this? In these movies with these small towns, it's always the sheriff that comes.
Yeah, it's a county thing.
Like, it's not, anyway. I'm like, wow, they care. He comes, he's like, it was probably a drifter who left after he saw me. And then she says, he was dressed awfully nice for a drifter. He had a tie. And then the cop says, some of them dress nice. Wow, hold the phone, guys. This is a woke movie. Drifters can dress however they want.
Yeah. So, set aside your visions of the 1920s era hobo just riding the rails. Yeah.
Oh, and I should mention this because right now I wrote, why does she stay? Because earlier she was like, this other appraiser didn't work. I'm just going to stay overnight and then go back to Boston the next day and get my own appraiser to, like, come and do it, right? But she, like, keeps dilly-dallying and, like, she should have just left at this point. But for some reason, she stays because she's all about who's this person. Maybe, like, she didn't want someone to, like, steal all this stuff before they sell it. I don't know.
My thing is, she's very unfazed by this. She doesn't act like a drifter or a ghost or a murderer just stepped up into the hotel she thought was empty. She's very casual about all of it. She's like, it's less like a man was in there and more like a mouse.
Mm-hmm.
And so she called the sheriff to get rid of this mouse, and then the sheriff can't find the mouse, and she's pretty annoyed. But she's never actually afraid, which I think would be the smart move.
But you know what her real fear is? Love.
Whoa. That's beautiful.
Tears are just streaming down Adam's face right now. He's gonna need a moment. So she gets back in the house. The cop leaves. She's like, I'm fine. I don't need you to be here. Like, after she calls him. And then guy shows up again. So she calls again. And the cop returns. And he's like, he's not here. And he's like, or he's a ghost. And then she's still like, I don't need you to stay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then we get some more antics. She starts arguing with him, and then Rafferty, the innkeeper, shows up.
Well, first, is that I think before he has this, like, existential moment where he's like, what is real? Or is that when after Rafferty shows up?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, at one point she is saying, like, are you real or are you a ghost? And he's like,
what is real?
Yeah.
And then, you know, she uses the classic, like, we've all here seen Ghostbusters, and so you really learn how to bust those ghosts. And she uses the classic getting rid of ghost tactic by yelling, stop it.
Mm-hmm.
Weirdly, doesn't work.
Yeah. Bill Murray shows up. There's a whole scene with him in it. You have to stay through the end of the credits to see it, but it's worth it. But yeah, so then Rafferty shows up, and they're like, do we tell her? Might as well. And then they explain what's going on. What is going on?
Well, forget everything you know about ghosts once again, because you can touch them, but wait, it's a ghost. But also he's real, but only for a short time. So basically for 12 days leading up to Christmas, he becomes a real boy. And then the rest of the time he's a ghost, ? But he's also a ghost. And then he's like, I'll show you. And she's like, whoa, what? This don't make no sense. And I'm like, agreed. And then he's like, I'll show you. And he takes her outside. There's a lot of moments. Sorry to cut myself off on this one, but there's a lot of moments in this movie where they just go outside for no apparent reason. And this was one of them. So he leads her outside, and he's like, oh, I'll show you. And then he goes outside, and he, like, takes her, and then just kind of, like, is holding her hand, and then, like, disappears.
Yeah.
And then that's just supposed to, like, reassure her of everything she didn't understand?
Yeah, because he said by disappearing from the outside and reappearing in the house, you can see unclearly a ghost. But at the same time, once again, he's a real person for these 12 days. And so you don't really see any of his ghost powers other than occasionally there's a weird sound.
Or he'll see another ghost.
Yeah, but that's not really a ghost power.
But it seems like they're insinuating that even though he's a real person for 12 days, he can also just kind of disappear whenever he wants.
Yeah. So do you know what would have been really interesting? A ghost movie with a cool ghost. Not one of Mumford's sons.
Literally, this man is dressed like a hipster if you ever saw one.
Yeah, and so...
And then later he's like
ghost stuff.
He's like a mixologist, and so it's like he really is just a hipster.
Mm-hmm.
Then she's like, what's the reason that he's here for 12 days? They're like, I don't know. We don't really care to find it. And then she's like, well, if it was me, I would just research the answer. And we get our first female Enneagram 5 as the protagonist.
Wow.
Representation. Once again, if I learned anything, it's that if you mention the Enneagram, more people will listen to your podcast. Is that right, Adam? Yeah. That's what you taught me?
Mm-hmm. Stay tuned for after this segment to find out which Enneagrams you should put in a stocking.
Which Enneagrams?
Which Enneagrams you should put in a stocking. Jess, you wrote this segment. You should remember it.
Then we're going to get down to business, and she's going to figure out what's happening because her promotion is on the line. Classic big city lawyer, am I right?
Where my big city lawyers at? Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. They get down to business. She's asking him all these questions, and we get our first plot twist of the movie. We find out that he went to Canada.
Oh, you don't say.
But why was he in Canada?
I don't know.
It was during the Prohibition, and he was a rum runner. He doesn't like bootlegger. He likes rum runner.
Hang on. Speaking of running, I have to run to the bathroom real quick. Can we pause it?
No, we have to keep going.
Okay, if there's weird dead silence while I'm upstairs in the bathroom, that's not on me.
Hello?
Jess?
Yeah.
Just making sure you were still down there and that no kooky characters showed up.
Yep, I'm good.
Okay.
Hello?
Hello! It's me, Dr. Jones, medical doctor and history enthusiast.
Hi.
Hello!
What brings you here today?
I'm glad you asked. Today we're talking about Prohibition. Now, Jess, can you tell me about Prohibition?
It's when
because I'm the doctor, so I'll do the talking. Now, Prohibition...
This man is a misogynist and will not let me speak.
It's not...
But I will let him speak because I care about all people, no matter their gender.
As I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, the Prohibition began in 1920. But before then, people had been anti-alcohol. Not because they were all prudes, but because alcohol was tearing apart the frontier and was really destroying their families. So, eventually people decided this is not good and decided to outlaw alcohol. And there was a constitutional amendment passed in 1920. Now, Jess, here's where things get interesting. Can you tell me the year in which Daniel died?
No.
1919. So he died before Prohibition. Therefore, the whole I'm going up to Canada because of Prohibition thing was absolutely rubbish. He died before Prohibition was even mandated on a national level, so he never had to go to Canada.
But did the states do it before?
Not really. It was a local thing, but he didn't have to go all the way to Canada.
But, like, Canada's cool, so maybe you just, like, wanted to go there?
It doesn't make any sense. How were there bootleggers before Prohibition?
Bootcut jeans?
Just you're defending the Lifetime Network instead of me, a journaled artificial.
Well, you told me to...
Artificer, not artificial, by the way. I artifice things.
You told me to keep quiet, so I'm not super on
I
your
never
side.
said keep quiet. I said I would explain about prohibition. I'm also a doctor in understanding previous conversations I've had.
Cool.
Alright, any other questions about Lifetime original timelines?
What's your favorite Lifetime movie?
Recipe for Seduction.
Why do you like it?
Because I'm a big fan of the Colonel's work on the chicken. It's scientifically lip-smacking good.
Cool. Anything else you would like to share with us today?
No. So, Adam's taking a long time, isn't he?
I don't know what to tell you. Likes to look at Twitter on the potty.
On the pod?
Sorry.
You'll have to forgive my crude co-host for talking about bathrooms in a good podcast nonetheless. Anyway, because I don't dare to be affiliated with such crudeness, I must see myself out. Farewell! Don't worry, I didn't leave. I just saved that in a weird way sometimes. For fun!
Bye.
So, are you doing anything later?
Probably. Play in the snow?
Oh, can I join?
No.
Do you want to... Okay. If plans change, let me know. I'll be around.
Okay.
Nothing to do.
Okay.
Family's not coming home for Christmas this year. I won't be able to see my poor puppy.
I'm sorry for your loss.
So can I hang out with y'all?
Probably not.
Okay.
You
Well,
don't
goodbye! Sorry, Jess. I was just looking at Twitter. I sent you some funny memes. Did I miss anything?
Am I right?
About?
You all have to listen to the podcast to get it once again.
Okay. Someone has to. Might as well be me.
This guy, Dr. Jones, came and talked about how Prohibition happened after Daniel would have died.
That's ridiculous.
And also, he wants to hang out with us later.
Okay.
I said no.
Oh. Well, he just texted me. Anyway, we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
I don't want to have our first fight on this podcast.
Yeah, so there's some historical inaccuracies, and I know we all came to this movie for the historical accuracy, so honestly, I'm devastated. I don't really know where to go from here. So let's go to a flashback. Here we get our most relatable quote. We get a flashback to simpler times of his life, and we get our most relatable quote. Between the economy and the influenza, I'm surprised people venture out at all. Seems like right now, am I right, homies? Relevant. This is a relevant podcast. Not the relevant podcast, a relevant podcast.
Topical.
Our girl Lily's back. Daniel's just charming her. They know each other's name. And then you find out that she ended up with his bro. And
Charles.
that she's a nerd.
Oh yeah, she likes to read.
Yeah, she wants to turn their room into a library. Nerd alert. And also that she's a gold digger because she's like, I wasn't super into you. Neither was my dad until he found out that you owned this inn. And he says that he believes in what he knows.
And what he sees, not ghosts, because they're talking about the Christmas tale. No, Carol, the Christmas Carol.
Did you actually forget it?
Yeah. With the three spirits.
Wow.
And she's like, do you believe
Adam
in
is
spirits,
so
Daniel?
relatable. He forgets things sometimes.
I'm human. But yeah. And he's like, I don't believe in spirits. Just wait, Daniel. Just wait.
Then we go back to the present day, and we find out that he doesn't sleep, and Daniel doesn't sleep, and Kate has never fallen in love, and she, locks herself in her room by doing that classic thing that, once again, they do in shows and movies where they put the, chair onto the doorknob so that it can't open. Then there's, like, this wind. Okay, so here's the thing. They keep, like, teasing out, like, oh no, there's something else happening here. It's truly just wind. Wind is closing doors, wind is rushing through windows, and they're just like, ooh, what's happening? She's, like, freaked out because she thinks that it's him. And, yeah. The next day they wake up, and we get our new character, Molly, and what's the other guy's name?
Rafferty.
Yeah, so they're there in the morning, and she's like, I own a pub, and the pipes burst, and so we don't have anywhere to go, so I was hoping that you would open your tavern. And then Daniel, inexplicably who he is, gets a new nickname of DJ to hide who he really is. And he doesn't want the tavern to open because, oh, I forgot to mention this at the beginning. His whole thing is like, I want solitude. I want to be alone.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, I can't be alone if this is happening. He gets super annoyed about the DJ name, but has to go along with it. Another reference to Full House. And then she's like, well, I can bring my people, because they're like, oh, all of our, like, servers and stuff left, and she's like, well, I can bring my people, I have a great bartender, and he's like, I only trust myself as a bartender. And then Kate's just gonna help with the whole thing. And
Daniel's pretty annoyed by it, which leads to, I think, the best line of the whole movie, which is, this is shaping up to be the worst Christmas since I died. And it's not really said to be funny. It's more like, oh, I'm annoyed. This is the worst Christmas since I've died.
But would be a great tagline for the movie.
Mm-hmm. That's how I felt watching the movie.
Am I right?
Statler and Waldorf, who let y'all in here?
Am I right? Then Kate's boss calls, and he's like, what are you doing? You need to get it done. But she's just over there sipping cocktails at a party. And also, you know, low-budget film. So everyone at this party is the characters that we've already seen. So Daniel's making the drinks. Molly's there. I think it was supposed to be like a bartender off. Or he was just supposed to show that he was a good bartender.
Yeah.
I don't really know. So he's just slinging around drinks. Never once makes an old-fashioned. Come on. If we're going to be on the nose, let's be on the nose. And Molly is there, and why do I keep forgetting his name every time?
Rafferty.
Rafferty is there, and the police chief is there, because, you know, gotta be there. So that's really all the characters we've seen so far. Those are the people that are at this party. Molly comes back, and then it gets serious, because Molly and Kate start gossiping about what Molly knows about the haunted house. And you find out that Daniel's brother, or Lily, Daniel's fiance, has a baby right after he marries his brother, like a month after he dies. And then you see a flashback. You find out that Lily didn't like rum running, and that he lied to her and said that he was never going to go back to Canada, but then he does.
Yeah, so Jess, you don't like conflict, so you might want to close your ears, because there's some conflict coming between Kate and Daniel. And that conflict is...
Not Daniel Tiger, Daniel Ghoster.
Wait a second, all people named Daniel aren't the ghost? Then why do they have to call him DJ? So many questions. Anyway, Kate says, well, maybe Lily killed you. It serves you right. You lied to her. And then he's like, okay, you should go now. You don't talk to me that way.
Yeah. That was like a straight up, I wrote, Kate gets spicy. Because she's like, maybe she killed you. I would. You're the worst. Ugh, I hate... ladies, let's just take a second. Ladies, don't you hate it when your man lies to you about going to Canada to get some alcohol?
And to
Am
sell
I right? Am I right? Relatable.
If he comes to Montreal to sell liquor, that's a deal breaker, ladies.
Yep. Name that show if you can. Real fan. Okay. And then she feels really bad, and she tells Rafferty, ooh, I remembered his name for the first time. I messed up. I don't all messed up.
Yeah, she's like, I'm a self-sabotager. No, sabotager. I sabotaged myself. I always do this in relationships.
And then she's like, I forget that he's like a live, real person. And then Rafferty says another classic line from this movie that just makes you be like, is he a ghost or what? He says, he is alive, just not in the traditional sense.
Which is how I felt watching this movie.
Yeah. And then he asks, is Kate jealous of Lily? Like Adam says, she's like, I always do this. It's been quite a while. And then Rafferty says, it's been quite a while since he had the pleasure of a fight with a beautiful lady. Mm-hmm. A beautiful woman, sorry.
Yeah. Now who's the misogynist? That's right. Dr. Jones texted me about y'all's conversation. You really hurt his feelings. I don't know if he'll ever come back to the podcast. Great.
I'm happy about it. I know he's a fan of some of our guests. Shout out to Taylor. But, yeah. It does give me a chance to kind of sit back and just enjoy.
Yeah.
But.
Anyway. Okay. So once again, she's like, I sabotaged myself. But then she starts to hear weird noises after she comes back to the inn and reconciles with Daniel.
Well, first let's just talk about this insanely quick transition in the movie. If we're talking about a bad film, we got to talk about what makes it bad. And this is one of the things. So there's this super heightened, like, time where they fight, and then she's like, oh no, I messed up. And then you see flashes of Lily. And then it just, like, with a snap, transitions to her driving in with a Christmas tree.
Yep. She's like, I almost want to get you a Christmas tree.
She hangs up on her boss, a turning point. Mm-hmm. And then the door shuts on her. This is the part you were going to talk about?
Yes. So the door's shut on her. She hears creaky noises.
She's like, Daniel, stop it.
At one point she looks and there's like a shadow in the bathroom. And then she's like, stop it, Daniel, stop it. And Daniel's like, I didn't do it. I don't know what you're talking about.
He busts in and hugs her. Mm-hmm. Intimate moment. And he's like, I wasn't me.
But yeah, and so at this point you realize there's something else going on. Maybe just the skeptic was wrong. Maybe there's another ghost.
Maybe it's never actually wind that closes our doors when it's windy outside.
Wind would never do that to us. Wind loves us. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so the ghost, I'm kind of, at this point I think there's another ghost, but Daniel, who once again lacks any cool ghost abilities, hasn't seen any other ghosts, and that's like rule number 2 of ghost law. So rule number 1, ghosts go through things. You cannot touch a ghost, and they can go through walls, etc. Rule number 2 of ghost law, ghosts can see other ghosts. That's ghost law. Mm-hmm.
They inexplicably go out into the snow again. I guess they just need a change of scenery. And he's like, please stay. There's more to learn. Please don't leave. We're so close to figuring it out. And then they're like, but why? Why is it 12 days that you have to be here? And why around Christmas? And we're really like, the 12 days of Christmas? Mm-hmm. You're trying to tell me that they didn't learn about the 12 days of Christmas in law school?
When she practiced ghost law. And that's who I learned about ghost law from. I consulted her before this recording.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Then they have a classic. So sometimes it's like a Christmas rom-com and it just like takes place at Christmas. But this, it has some Christmas elements, which I appreciated. So she gets the Christmas tree. They decorate the Christmas tree. She talks about, finally, we get to hear her tragic backstory. Her parents are divorced, and Daniel tells her that she has a capacity for love. And then she says, Adam's crying again, profusely, even if this fails, she'll always make sure to get him a Christmas tree. And then a weird part of the movie comes, and she is going to sleep, and they're both kind of freaked out, like, is there another ghost? And so he I don't know if did we mention that he doesn't sleep?
No, he didn't. But he doesn't.
So this, like, man, but also a ghost, but he's, like, real, but he's not. Oh, because, like, he doesn't need to eat?
No,
he didn't mention this. No, he doesn't.
No, he eats a lot.
He eats a lot because he likes the feel of it. Is what Rafferty says. He doesn't need to eat, but he does because he likes the feel of it. And he doesn't need to sleep. But he's not a ghost, but he is a ghost. But he's not real, but he is real.
Yeah, so he decides that he's going to stay in Kate's room in case the evil ghost comes back. And she's like, you better not. And he's like, there's an evil ghost. And she's like, fine. And
so he sits on a chair facing the toilet all night. Mm-hmm. He doesn't even have a phone. And he just sits there and stares.
I think he had a book.
Maybe.
Yeah. So, this reminded me of a classic Parks and Rec goof. I never get tired, criminals. And ladies, too. From Andy Samberg's appearance on that show. It's a great episode. Park safety.
So then how would you apply that to this movie?
I never get tired, evil ghost. And ladies, too.
He, at one point, does the classic rom-com, like, fixes her blanket. And then it's just, so he was like, I won't just, like, hover over you. But then he fixes her blanket and then does just, like, weirdly hover over her and is just, like, watching her.
He doesn't even fly, though, so it's not a hover.
Yeah.
If it's a ghost, they have to fly to hover. That's ghost law number 7.
Learning so much.
Mm-hmm.
She wakes up and he's not in the chair, but then she looks around and he's there. And then she goes, a classic cute line. How did you not sleep? You can't see my face, but it's like, wow, that was a good one. They work on another day of trying to figure out what happened, and you find out, another plot twist, who could have killed him, but a Montreal gangster.
Dun 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 dun.
Because you know those classic early 1900s Canadian rum gangsters.
Oh, sorry about that, you hoser.
Yeah, exactly.
After we murder this guy, do you want to go to Tim Hortons? Mm-hmm. Oh no, who turned out the lights?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, so he realizes that the person who killed him was not someone at the party, and that he was hit from behind, and that was the cause of death.
So that's 2 breakthroughs, well, really 3. It might be the Montreal gangster that killed him. He was gone for 12 days, which is why he comes back for 12 days, and he was struck in the back of the head.
Mm-hmm.
With what, by who, we don't know yet. But the major breakthrough is cut short because Oliver calls and he says, a senator has died. We need all hands on deck. You have to come back. Once again, I don't understand the law that they practice. She has to leave, and he gives her a gift, and she says that she'll be back for Christmas.
But yeah, so this is kind of where the story diverges. So we follow Kate back to Boston. Oh, sorry, not Boston, because that's in New Jersey. But we follow her back to Boston, and in Boston, she's eating some baked beans and cheddar, being wicked smart, saying, "How about them apples?" And she's really struggling to get work done, and Oliver is just on her case trying to get the senator death worked out. But then we cut back to the inn where Daniel and Rafferty are kicking back. And what's that? Knock, knock, knock. The appraiser has come to appraise the inn to sell it. Daniel, it turns out, has contacted him.
We find that out later.
Yeah, because, no, he says it immediately.
Oh.
Yeah, he's like, I called him. And then he did that for Kate, so she would, I don't know what his plan was, appreciate that. But then when Oliver, Kate's boss, tells Kate about the appraisal, he also tells her that because the house has been, or the inn has been appraised, she doesn't need to go back, and she just needs to work on selling it before Christmas. And she has to be at the Christmas party on Christmas Eve party, so he can announce her promotion. Priorities, Kate. Priorities. But do you know who the real tease was in that situation?
What?
Kate. because she decides to go back to the inn.
He comes back in. So Daniel, one key part is that Daniel is trying to play matchmaker for the side characters, and he was telling Rafferty, you should go for Molly. And so Daniel was outside. He comes back inside, and he hears piano playing, and there is Kate. He's there, playing the piano.
I was hoping it would be the evil ghost.
What? Why did you come back?
She was also playing the 12 Days of Christmas. And at that point, a large plank that said subtlety came along and hit me in the face.
And he says, why did you come back? And she said, priorities.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the one who got the Anna praise for her because he knew that that's what she wanted. And I said, Adam, why did you never get an Anna praise for me?
And I'm like, oh, fellas, am I right? Our girls are always nagging us about getting Inza praise. And I'm like, I don't got time for that.
So should Adam and I stay together despite the fact that he's never gotten an Anna praise from me? Like and comment below.
Or don't. Mystery.
Then she has a gift for him. In all of her research back in Boston, she finds out that the baby... Wait, okay. Once again. Bad movies have weird, timing of stuff. So things go really slow, and at the end, they just tie up all the loose ends in weird ways.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're about to hit in that section now. So she finds out that the baby was named after him, and it was actually his baby. And so his brother didn't actually... Well, Lily didn't cheat on him with his brother. They hug, and then they quickly turn to find out that they're going to have a Christmas Eve dance.
Mm-hmm. Why? Moving on.
So that they can dress up. Duh.
Oh, I really didn't... Was it explained?
No. Well, he's like, I've missed so many Christmas things. They used to have one every year.
Oh.
Type of thing.
Sounds like this spirit's really getting into the Christmas spending spree.
They didn't seem to spend a lot. They seem to just bring a lot of poinsettias.
Yeah, and those things don't grow on trees.
It's true. They get dressed up nicely. She's wearing a nice dress. He's wearing a suit.
He's wearing what he always wears. Once again, he's one of Mumford's sons, so he's wearing suspenders, a black vest. He has the hair of a Christian emo singer. Mm-hmm. The whole works.
Yeah. They dance. They kiss. Need I say more?
Yes, you need to say more because the movie's not over. Because while he's at this dance, he sees some interesting ongoing, some supernatural spectacles, some ghostly things.
So Adam's rule about ghosts getting to see other ghosts finally comes true.
Mm-hmm.
He gets like a flashback of the night. Okay, so this part I'm like, so he just is having like a revelation? I don't know. But he basically has a flashback of the night that he died. Mm-hmm. And everything they've been trying to figure out doesn't really matter because he's going to figure it all out in this moment. What does he find out, Adam?
He finds out who killed him. All right, now, let me open everyone's letters. Interesting. No, it wasn't Lee Harvey Oswald. Looks like we found a winner. This letter was written in from a listener named Adam Jones. He says, "Hi, long-time listener, first-time writer. I am writing to let you know that as soon as Harry's name was mentioned in the movie, I knew that he was the killer, especially because Daniel said that his cousin Harry offered him no help when he tried to find out who his killer was the first few times he reappeared at the end for those 12 days. So, our listener Adam was right. It was Harry who killed him."
Adam sounds cute.
Just please stop hitting on podcast listeners during the podcast. Save that for the DMs. Oh, also he says, no one has ever said, "Wait, are you breaking up with me?" to me, and I have never said that to anyone else. I'm always fully aware of my surroundings.
Good for him, once again.
Yeah.
I'm winking.
So that's what happened. Harry, it turns out, is the one who killed him. And like I said, I knew it was Harry. Because I don't know if we mentioned this, but he comes back every year, and he's come back for 95 years. And so at first he saw, his relatives, and his cousin Harry didn't offer him any help, and I was like, Harry seems like a real goober. And then Harry was also the one who got him involved with bootlegging before the prohibition. It's called getting ahead of the game.
Amen.
Innovation.
But Adam, we now know who killed him, but who was the second ghost?
Well, there were 2 more ghosts. So
Wait, Harry, I thought there was just one more ghost.
I know. That's why it's a ghost. Not just a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so Harry is seen with a big rock, and Daniel follows him upstairs, and then Harry explains what happened. The Montreal mob was going to kill Daniel and Harry's family unless Harry killed Daniel himself, because Daniel felt bad about bootlegging and had decided to leave Canada and no longer rum run. And so then, as Harry is telling him all of this, he looks over and he sees... Who does he see?
Lily!
Oh, cool. But yeah. So he sees Lily, and then he's like, it wasn't a curse, it was a miracle.
Yeah, what the... Like, this is really when I was like, this is annoying to me. Because it's like, oh no, all that time... At one point he described, like, they're like, what do you do in the other 12 days? And he's like, it's horrible. It's the worst ever. But now he's like, it's not a curse, it's a miracle. From Lily. And I just wrote question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark.
Ooh, we hit him with a 5. But yeah, and so in this point I was really annoyed. Because if there were other ghosts around, and if Lily was one of those other ghosts, and that was the miracle that he could come back after his murder, then why was she still hanging around and not letting him know, what's up, dog? Hey, Daniel, I'm a ghost too. So, let's hunt and be married. And that didn't happen. And so, at the end of the movie, eventually he gets a choice on whether or not he chooses Lily or Kate. And not to give too many spoilers for this movie that we're comprehensively reviewing, he chooses Kate. And I don't blame him, because Lily cursed him to 300 and...
But it wasn't a curse, Adam. It was a miracle.
350-something days and a miracle of just of a living nightmare? No. And the fact that she just didn't tell him, even though she was a ghost. Also, Harry was just hanging around. Yep, he felt bad, and he decided to tell him, I feel real bad for what I did. I've been haunting this here inn so that I wouldn't have to go to judgment. And then Daniel says, don't worry about it, bro. I forgive you.
Yeah, I'm chill with it all.
I've been angry for too long.
And then Kate's like, I'm sorry we didn't figure it out. And then he's like, what? Oh, what I wrote was confusing. Anyway, she's like, I'm sorry we didn't figure it out. And he's like, I'm not sorry. Because I got to spend time with you. And it was all worth it for spending 3 days with you.
It's more like 9.
And then she's like, you know what? We can't ignore the feels, my bro. Why don't we just commit to spending 12 days together a year? I'll wait for you. And then they kiss. And I turn to Adam. We're engaged. I love this man. We're about to get married soon. And I'm just like, honestly, would not take that deal. 12 days out of the year, and then you're just waiting around. That seems awful. But she's into it. And then she falls asleep. And then they're having all of these, flashbacks of the movie?
Mm-hmm. They're just showing, remember all these romantic scenes from, Kate and Daniel's love story, dog? Remember
that you just watched? We're going to play them again, and then he's going to be in the background, narrating it and talking about how she'll be ready to love. So at this point, I'm like, well, okay, so this is my second time watching it, so I knew what happened, but the first time I watched it, and this time again, I'm like, this would be a great opportunity for it to be he's a ghost, but not really a ghost. We're not really sure what the situation is here. But he was just meant to help her realize that she could love, and then she finds love somewhere else, right? But that's not what happened, because this is a dumb movie, so the dumbest thing that could possibly happen happens.
Yeah,
Then, go ahead.
Then Lily shows up.
No, Lily's, like, in the corner, so was she there while they were kissing? And I'm like, we just watched The Bachelorette. I'm like, is this what this is like? You're just, like, in the corner while the person that you love is kissing someone else.
And then it's like, moving on. All right, time to hang out with Lily. Yeah. Lily shows up and she's like, follow me to the ghostly afterlife. Also, Lily is the creepiest ghost. I think it's her old-timey clothes and the fact that she never really spoke. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So she leads him outside, and she's like, well, I'm going to go. You can follow me, or you can stay. Do what you want. And then she goes through and leaves the boundaries of the inn and disappears. And then we cut back to Kate, who's just chilling on the world's smallest couch.
So small. She has to be so curled up on this couch, and she's sad. And then she's sad packing. Mm-hmm. But don't worry, guys. The side characters got together like we were all hoping for.
And what are their names?
Molly and... See, this is the problem. We have a friend whose last name is Rafa, and that's what I keep thinking, and I know that that's not his name.
It's close.
What is it?
Rafferty.
Rafferty. So that's why I keep getting stuck. Shout out to Andrew. I don't think he'll ever listen to this, but...
no, if the podcast was about Rachel, he would. Heyo, burn on you.
He has a crush on my college roommate.
Ew. What is he? Daniel to Kate?
Yeah, amen. I hope not. Then Oliver is back, and he's like, you know what? I was wrong. You should get a vacation. But I need the trust deed because someone's trying to buy the inn.
And who bought it?
Molly and Rafferty.
Whoa.
I remembered the name.
Yeah.
Which is, the first time I watched this, I saw this coming, that they were going to buy it. Which leads us to sequel predictions.
I don't even remember what I said.
This is my sequel prediction. The Spirit of Christmas 2. Sorry, let me start that again. The Spirit of Christmas 2. They bought an inn.
Oh, yeah, and then I remember, because they mentioned that the cleaning crew's here, and I was like, I bet the cleaning crew's a bunch of animals. And they're like, oh, we're going to clean this place. Here we go again. Because I really wanted to focus on the zoo element of We Bought an Inn. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kevin James is attached to Star.
Mm-hmm. Then she is walking outside all sad that she had to say goodbye to Daniel. But wait!
Well, look who it is. Daniel comes. He's traipsing through the snow, taking his sweet time after Kate thought he was just poof gonzo.
But it's all worth it because he has a new hat.
Really just increasing his hipster levels. But yeah, so they kiss. They talk about how they're gonna like hang out together, and she's like,
"How has this happened?" And he's like, "I don't know." He doesn't even say, "I don't know." He says, 12 days wasn't nearly enough. Merry Christmas. And we're like, yeah, but how are you back? What happened? How does this work? Nothing is ever explained.
Yeah. Now everyone knows I'm a bad boy. I don't really like rules. Unless it comes to how movies work.
To ghost
because
rules.
This is confusing to me. Like, we watched a movie called Palm Springs a few weeks ago. And by a few weeks ago, it was in August.
2020, am I right?
And the movie is like this kind of sci-fi fantasy thing. But they explain, here's what's going on, here's how it works, here's how we would exit this situation if desired. And it's just very frustrating that this movie has no idea what it's doing. But on the other hand, I respect all of the writers who are like, no one really cares. So we're not going to put in extra time to write this out because it doesn't really matter. Mm-hmm. Well, anything else to say about this film, Jess?
I think it took away my spirit of Christmas.
So, time for the review, Jess. On a scale of 1 to 12, how many days of Ghostmas would you give this?
7.
5. Okay, and then would you give
Wait,
it...
are you giving it a 5, or are you saying I should have given it a 5?
I'm giving it a 5, and I think everyone should.
Okay.
5 out of 12 days of Ghostmas. Mm-hmm. And then, Jess, for the viewers at home, should they view this movie? Would you give it a Jingle Smells, a We Wish You a Merry Viewing, or Barfing Around the Christmas Movie?
Jingle kind of stinks.
That's not one of the things, Jess. I'm confused.
Just like how this movie made up everything about ghosts, can also make this up. It's like a good, like it's in the background and you only have to pay attention half of the time. It's not the worst. Like, I left the Grinch, the NBC thing, like, angry. Because it was so bad. But this, I'm like, it's fine.
Yeah, so I give it a We Wish You a Merry Viewing. This is not to say that this movie is good, because heaven forbid we watch one of those movies and talk about it on the podcast for an extended period of time. But yeah, so I give it a We Wish You a Merry Viewing, available on Hulu. It's interesting, and by interesting I mean dumb. But it's also, again, this ain't your daddy's Hallmark original Christmas movie, because it's ghostly. All right, Jess, are you ready for the final segment?
Maybe.
We're doing something different, and Jess doesn't know, but we're playing a game.
Okay.
Okay, so Jess, welcome to the game.
I really didn't know about this. He was preparing it and wouldn't tell me.
Yeah. So Jess, today we're going to travel around the world and find out what Christmas traditions other countries have.
Oh, that's fun.
And you have to tell me whether or not it is a real tradition or one that I just made up.
Okay.
Do you know what your prize is?
No.
If you win, then $100 will be donated to the charity of your choice in your name. As long as the charity that you choose is a charity designed to bring Christmas winters to people in the Southern Hemisphere. Okay. So, will kids in the South...
Also, how do I win?
By getting more questions right than wrong.
Okay.
So, will kids in the global South be able to have a white Christmas after all? Or will they be blue Christmas boys and girls? Okay, Jess. True or false? In Japan, it is tradition to eat at KFC on Christmas.
True.
That's true.
They love KFC in Japan, I know this.
In Denmark, children leave their shoes on their porch, and their parents hide them and fill them with treats.
True.
That's false.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it something similar?
Kind of. Germany, they do it, and they leave the shoes outside of their room, but I don't think there's any hiding involved. So that's an Adam original. Okay. In Greenland, people eat raw whale meat on Christmas.
False.
That's true, Jess. It's a delicacy over there. You gotta make sure you get a little bit of blubber, too. In Catalan, which is kind of Spain, they don't like to say that.
I learned that in Spanish class, culture section.
Did you learn about this? That children make a log and feed it until Christmas. Then they beat the log with sticks until it poops out presents.
Doesn't even make sense.
So...
I feel like a part of it is true, but the way you described it didn't make sense to me, so I'm going to say false.
It's true, Jess.
What?
The Cagatillo, it's called.
Wait, explain that to me again.
Okay, so... Every year...
I think this is on you, Adam, because the way you explained it did not make sense.
Jess, that's culturally insensitive
What?
to the Cagatillo.
No.
Which,
saying that you explained it weirdly.
I explained it how it is, Jess.
Okay,
So
explain it.
Kids decorate a log.
Okay. Is it like a wooden log?
Yes. They decorate a log and they put oranges by it, and they pretend that it's eating the oranges and the treats and the fruit and the nuts and the sweets. And they put like a blanket over it, and then at the end of the 12 days, you beat it with a stick and tell it to give you presents, or it will get more beatings. Yeah, it's a real thing.
Sounds like a fun time.
And it has also sparked a tradition where they sell miniature figurines of like celebrities and stuff with their pants around their ankle to honor the Kagatillo. But yep, so
good times.
So just
tradition.
So right now you're 2-2. Wait, no, that's not true. Hang on, 1, 2, 3. You're like, I think you're 1-3. Not great.
I started off well, though. Am I right, guys?
Came out strong with the KFC takes. In Guatemala, people spend the week before Christmas dirtying up their houses for Papa Noel to come visit and clean it on Christmas Eve.
True.
False. Demons live in dirty homes, so they gotta clean those houses the week before Christmas and get that bad spirit stuff out of there. Okay, 3 more. You can break even. Okay.
But then what happens if I break even?
Only $50 will be given to the charity designed to bring winter to the southern hemisphere. Cold winter, specifically. So in Italy, a witch comes and delivers presents as it is looking for the baby Jesus.
Where? In Italy?
Italy.
False.
That's true, Jess. Yep. A witch was... okay, so here's the story. There was a witch, and the 3 wise men visited her, and she, like, housed them for a night, and then they were like, hey, we're going to see the baby Jesus. And she's like, dudes, I would love to go, but I am just, like, swamped here, so y'all gotta go on without me. And so she missed seeing the baby Jesus. But now she spends every Christmas delivering presents, searching for the baby Jesus. And I didn't write down her name, but I will pull it up real quickly.
That's a cool story.
Not for her. Not for La Befana. Also, I think the Pope is on board, so yeah. She not only delivers babies presents, she baptizes them. Okay.
Baptist joke, am I right?
Okay. Okay, in Austria, Krampus comes and Santa must duel him to deliver presents to the good kids.
I want it to be true.
It's false. So Krampus does show up, but Santa doesn't duel him. Santa is kind of a laissez-faire Santa Claus. So Krampus just shows up and takes kids to hell. Yeah. Okay, last one. In Iceland, people are visited by 13 wild boys who cause mischief during Christmas.
True.
That is true. Yeah, I'm glad you got that one right because I told you about it a few weeks ago.
Yep, also first and last, my friends. First and last.
And I know everyone's thinking, who are these Icelandic lads causing all sorts of chicanery in town? So there's Sheepcoat Claude. He tries to suckle ewes in farmers' sheep sheds. There's Gully Gawk. He steals from buckets of cow's milk. There's Stubby, who is short and steals food from frying pans. Spoon Licker, he licks spoons. Pot Licker, he steals unwashed pots and licks them clean. Bowl Licker, he steals bowls of food from under the bed, because back in the old days, Icelanders used to sometimes store bowls of food there. Door Slammer, he stomps around and slams doors, keeping everyone awake. Skier Gobbler, he eats up all the Icelandic yogurt. Sausage Swiper, he loves stolen sausages. Window Peeper. Jess, I feel like you're not fully invested in this history lesson.
You did tell me about this recently.
I did. But the people at home gotta know about Window Peeper. Otherwise, he likes to creep outside windows and sometimes steal stuff from he sees on the inside. And I just want our people to lock their windows, Jess. Is that too much to ask for? Is it too much to ask that our people be prepared for Door Sniffer? He has a huge nose and an insatiable appetite for stolen baked goods. Kind of like, I'm trying to think of a cartoon character who likes baked goods, but I can't. I was thinking Garfield, but he's a lasagna cat.
I like the dessert Garfield.
Yeah. And cannoli is just kind of a lasagna dessert. Meat Hook, he snatches up any meat left out, especially smoked lamb. Who is this guy, Jess? Candle Beggar, he steals candles, which used to be sought after items in Iceland. Wasn't that fun?
That was so fun. I was not very good at that, but it was good to learn some trivia.
Yeah. So, Jess, what are you going to name your Kagatillo?
Spirutzus.
Spritzus. I didn't say that right. I'm not going to try again. Okay. But yeah. So, this has been the spirit of Christmas. So, would you rather Daniel visit you or those 13 Icelandic lads?
Oh, those lads seem like a great time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Yule lads, as they're called. All right, so unless you have a game secretly planned, we can wrap it up.
Wrap it up. Do you have any other movie recommendations, Adam?
Yes. So on Sunday we watched Claus or Klaus. I don't know how it's pronounced. I think it's Claus. It is an animated movie available on Netflix, starring Jason Schwartzman, Rashida Jones, and J.K. Simmons, and it is very wholesome, guys. This is a good one. It came out last year, I think, and it's like a Spanish movie, but it's in English. But you can definitely tell it is different than other animated movies in the best way. Mm-hmm. The animation is unique. It's not
cried
just
multiple times.
That's true. That it was really getting to Jess because it's just that precious. So I give it a 10 out of 10.
Me too.
Yeah. Jess, is that your recommendation as well?
Yeah, it was a great time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
it has the magic of Christmas without unexplained ghosts / not ghosts.
Yep. Daniel doesn't appear. No presents for that punk. All right. So at the end of every show, Jess, you know what we do? We let you sing the outro song. So go ahead and sing it.
Last Christmas, I gave you my
Jess, that's
heart.
the intro song.
The very next day, you gave it away.
Gave it away.
This year, to save me from tears, I'll give it to someone special.
Just make sure they're not a ghost.
Special.
That's creepier than anything I saw in the movie. Bye.
Bye.